Recognized.
Mr. Speaker, in these tough times, we must make choices that reflect our values and our belief that we solve our toughest problems through shared sacrifice and working together. Unfortunately, today we consider yet another bill that is devoid of these values. Once again, today's legislation places the burden on the American people while rewarding the special interest and the lobbyists who walk these halls. One of the many riders inserted into the bill will effectively open up 1 million acres of national forest and other public land around the Grand Canyon, around that national park, because people want to mine uranium there. Democrats have great concerns about maintaining the integrity of the Grand Canyon and the effect of uranium mining on water quality, not to mention the spectacle that shows us auctioning off a national treasure with the proceeds going mostly to foreign-owned entities. Who is it that wants to drill for uranium and mine for uranium? Russia, their state atomic energy corporation, and South Korea's state-owned utility. In other words, we will give up the Grand Canyon and potable water, likely, to benefit the Russians and the South Koreans. And any mining that is included in this bill comes under a bill that was signed by Ulysses S. Grant in 1872. We have not raised royalties on anything that anybody takes from us in the foreign entities as they come here to mine our resources. At the same time, the majority proposes crippling cuts to the EPA that will cut programs that protect our air and water. There are a few more important responsibilities in making sure when we go to the kitchen sink, the water that's coming out is safe. We know a human being may live as long as he or she may without food, 4 days without water. If our nation can't protect these most basic of life necessities, we have indeed fallen far. Government money to add animals to the endangered species list, but allows the use of government money to take species off the same list. This policy change threatens the Endangered Species Act and the environmental protections that come with it. The misguided priorities in this bill would directly impact my district, and my colleague is right about that, and the citizens that I'm elected to represent. But not just them. 20% of the fresh water on this planet resides in the Great Lakes. Most of us who live around the Great Lakes believe it is our responsibility to take care of that and to pass it on to future generations. But in recent years, the Great Lakes have been damaged by pollution and invasive species carried onto our water by foreign vessels. We have allowed that. New York, of course, being closest to the Atlantic Ocean and to the St. Lawrence Seaway, New York has enacted stronger laws against dumping ballast, and this bill punishes us for doing that. The invasive species are not damaging just an ecosystem, but a way of life for the Great Lakes communities that line the shore, and as well endangering our fresh water. The EPA has come to the aid of these communities by dedicating funding to restore the Great Lakes. But today's bill would bar New York State from receiving any restoration funding from the EPA and leave the Great Lakes to be overrun by private polluters and the invasive species they have delivered from overseas. Any bill that stands up for foreign shipping magnates but won't provide a cent to help Americans should never see the light of day and will never receive my vote. Today's legislation also harms the arts. If today's bill takes effect, the National Endowment for the Arts will have lost 20% of its funding in 2 years. Now, these cuts target a program that works. In FY 2010, we invested $165.5 million into the NEA. Remember that number. 167.5, a purpose of providing funding to nonprofit art organizations. The funding created $166.2 billion in total economic activity, supported 5.7 million jobs, and generated back for the $167 million, put back in the federal treasury $12.6 billion in tax revenue to the United States Treasury. And that does not count what happens to help the improvement to state treasuries and local treasuries. Today, legislation targets a program proven to create jobs and contribute to economic and cultural well-being of our nation. You would think that people who are elected to Congress of the United States would really want a program like that not only to survive, but to grow. But no, here they are, cutting the budget once again. Our country is blessed with stunning natural beauty and a wealth of natural resources that are unparalleled anywhere in the world. But in one final swipe at our national interest, today's bill cuts the budget for Land and Water Conservation Fund by a whooping 78%. The Land and Water Conservation Fund ensures that our national treasures will be here for our children and our grandchildren, a mission that apparently deserves a 78% less money than it did a year before. A cut like that says all you need to know about the priorities of the majority and the special interests that are being served. If getting our fiscal house in order is truly about a shared sacrifice, this bill does not reflect it. We could have started by asking oil and gas companies to pay their fair share after profiting so richly from resources found on American soil. Instead, the majority rejected an amendment that would have asked oil and gas companies to pay a little more so the nation can fund programs to clean up the most polluted lands in our country. The majority will not even allow this amendment to receive a vote on the floor. Today's bill asks nothing of the companies that are making record profits. Instead, cuts the programs, the services, and the agencies that serve the American people and protect our environment for future generations. Mr. Speaker, a bill like this does not reflect our values, is not up to the standards the American people have come to expect and deserve. It puts special interest over our general welfare, and it fails totally to invest in our future. We can and we must do better. I reserve the balance of my time.
The lady from New York reserves. The gentleman